easy, I'm Sceptre and you're tuned into another Ableton live tutorial. In today's video we're going to look at 808 style basses using Vital, some nice noisy ones with a Dillinger-esque kind of vibe. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Cool, so here we are inside Ableton Live and I've got a few examples to show you first of what we're going to make. So we've got a straight one here, one with the 8th note modulation, and one with a slightly faster 16th note. Cool, so all the processing that we're going to do is going to be inside Vital, so it doesn't need to be, you don't need to have any other third-party software in order to make the sound, which is always cool. The preset will be available on the website to download for free. I'll put a link in the description for that. So let's take a look in Vital, and this is the patch that we've got, but rather than just kind of reverse engineer this one, we're going to start a new one and I'll take you through building the sound. Let's get rid of these other tracks first. So we're going to start off with a basic shape, and we're going to go to this kind of hybrid between a sine and a square wave, so it's got flat tops. So you've got a couple of extra harmonics than you'd have with a sine wave, but not so much in the high end that you'd have with some of the other waves. We're going to set the phase down to 0, so it's going to restart in the same place every time. And then we're going to go into the effects. We're going to get a distortion, leave it on soft clip mode. We're not going to use the filter, just going to turn the drive up to about 2 o'clock. And then we're going to pop a chorus on there, but we're going to put it after the distortion. So you can hear it spreads it between the speakers, gives us a nice amount of space, or simulated space anyway. And then we're going to use a reverb, and we're going to create a low cut in there, so we're not affecting the low frequencies. And maybe turn the time up a little bit, so we just get that nice tail on the end. Okay, so we're going to go back to the voice section, and before we add any noise, we're just going to change the envelope shape, and we're going to bring the sustain right down where it meets the release, and then going to play with the shape here. Just going to make this note a bit longer. So this curve that you have here is going to kind of drastically change the tone over time. And the reason that we have it this sort of shape is because if you were driving it through a desk or compressing it to get this kind of sound that we're trying to achieve, it would reduce the dynamic range of that kick or the 808 that you're using. So it would be louder towards the end until it tailed off. So that's kind of what we're replicating by putting this curve all the way up. And then we're going to go into the matrix, and we're going to set up a couple of LFOs, and we're going to use LFO 1 on oscillator 1 transpose, and we're going to just create a short sweep here, just to give us that small transient at the front, that knock. And then we're going to use LFO 2, and we're going to put that on the global volume. And we're going to put it on 8th notes and set it to a sine wave. Now you could achieve the same thing using a filter, a low pass filter, but using the volume, it just creates a different dynamic. So try doing both, but I prefer the sound of the volume in this case. Just going to shorten that note a little bit again. Create a little bit of release. Just turn that up. And that's what's giving us our movement with LFO2. Then the next thing we're going to do is use the sampler section, which is kind of like a noise oscillator. And we're going to use the waves noise sample. And then we're going to send that to filter 2. And we're just going to high pass it, because we don't want the noise to be coming through full frequency and kind of muddying with our low end. Maybe turn this distortion up a little bit. And then the other thing we're going to do is turn these voices down and then put it on legato and always glide, so we can go between 2 notes if we set on the right channel. So pretty simple patch really, but very effective. It's quite an easy sound to replicate once you know. Now in terms of using it, what I would probably do, rather than have it running inside a synth, I would resample a section and then put it inside a sampler, especially with the modulation on. If we do that a couple of times, I'll show you why. So resample one with some modulation on it. And then one without. And then when we put it into a sampler, we get that kind of old school feel of the modulation changing as we pitch it up and down. Let's turn that up a little bit. So obviously as we pitch it up, the modulation is going to speed up, and then as we go down, we're going to get a slower one. So that's the same way that Dillinger would have done it inside the hardware samplers that he had, or various other artists as well. So in terms of replicating that kind of sound, if you follow the process as similarly as you can, then you'll get a similar result. Cool. So as I said, the patch will be available on my website. There'll be a link in the description for that. And thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.